Hey, good day, good day, good day, everybody. Hey, thank you for joining me. I'm here with Dr. Matthew Michael. And basically, right now, what we're going to do is we want to discuss the current state of health, like, where we at as far as, the United States, like as far as the world, where we at. You know what, Doc, take the time to introduce yourself because you haven't been on this platform in quite some time. So
Yeah,
take the time to introduce yourself.
sure. I'm Matthew Micheals. I'm a medical doctor. I'm board certified in a field called physical medicine and rehabilitation. I do primarily interventional pain management, but I stay very much abreast of the current data with COVID 19, especially with this new variant coming out called Omicron. It's a very important issue that we all need to know more about. And so we'll dig in on that. Let you guys know what the risks are, what the reality of it is, and what the current myths are.
Okay. Even right now, like, to me, like we've been dealing with this situation, going on, almost 2 years. And first, like you said, right now is Corona. Now is a stronger strain at this present time. And like to me, I'm vaccinated and I'm ready to go get the booster shot. So right now do you think the booster will help or what?
Right now, all the information that we have says that the booster will help. And honestly, if you're not vaccinated at all, you're in grave danger. The fact is that, we've got three versions now, three major versions anyway. COVID 19, the original, that's what we first started dealing with back in March of 2020. That was the first round. Then earlier this year, it was the Delta variant. That's what hit us hard. And it was twice as infective as the original COVID 19, which means that if you were exposed, it took less virus to get you exposed. And when somebody else was sick, they were producing more virus. So
Okay.
Delta variant has been the most common form of the virus since last spring until now. Just now, the Omicron variant, Omicron, Omicron variant has become more prevalent than Delta. And the thing about that is that, so when we talk about viruses, we talk about infectivity in terms of the doubling rate. How quickly does the virus double in a population, going from 5 new cases a day to 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 to 160? And you can see when you're in a doubling rate, the numbers go up really fast. Now, the fact is that it took approximately 5 to 7 days for Delta to double, which was about twice as fast as the original version. Omicron is at 2.5 days. So
Wow.
much, much faster. Now, there is maybe some evidence out there right now that the illness from Omicron is slightly less severe. But the fact is this: it is so much more infectious that even if a smaller percentage of people who get Omicron are going to be severely ill, there are going to be so many people, so many more people who have it in the first place that the overall numbers are going to be very high. Suggesting once again, the biggest issue is not whether you're going to get it or you're going to get sick, but if you do get sick, can you get a hospital bed? And the
Mm.
danger of that is going to be very high, that you will be sick, so sick that you need a hospital bed, but you can't get in because they're all full. That's what we're looking at.
You know what? Even with that, like, it's been a lot of debate about some people want to get vaccinated, some people don't. Some people think it's some type of form of conspiracy. And to me, like, early this year, I was at a family function. And you know what? Like, I was vaccinated, and another one of my family was vaccinated. But, that whole group, like some of my immediate family wasn't vaccinated. And right now, it's like four of my family member along with the other individual that attended that event, all of them got COVID. And one even had to be hospitalized. And see,
Mm-hmm.
people do not understand. So to me, like right now, like when certain things come about, like even everybody was like, why are you wearing a mask? Like when it first came out, I was the first one at work wearing a mask. I call it
Good for
diaper. I call
you.
it
Good
pamper.
for you.
Because once again, you know what? It's not about whatever you want to do, that's your right. But the difference is whatever I need to do to protect me and mine, that's what I'm going to do.
And you know what? That's really what it comes right down to now, is that I make the analogy between getting vaccinated and driving drunk. So
Mm,
you make a decision to drive drunk, you're not just putting yourself at risk, you're putting other people at risk. You make the decision to not get vaccinated. It's really not about you. It's not whether or not you're going to get sick. It's about whether or not you're going to get infected and spread it around and make other people ill. Recognizing that you might be healthy and feel like, you know what? It's my decision. I don't want to get it because I'm healthy. Well, how many people around you are not healthy that you don't even know? How many people are elderly or obese or have hypertension or diabetes, and they're at very high risk? So you cannot think about this vaccination as a matter of personal freedom. It's a matter of protecting the people around you. You know, I saw a video back in the spring of this year of some guy who was talking about how he has a degree in microbiology from Oxford. And then he went off on this crazy tangent saying that if you get this RNA vaccine, you're going to be dead in 1 year. Okay, that's what he said in so many words. I got my first dose of vaccine on December 18th. I'm still here. I know I work in the medical field. I work in nursing homes. I'm exposed constantly. I have not picked up the virus. I have not tested positive once, and I get tested every week. So I think it's very important to recognize that, especially with the holidays coming up, my suggestion would be that if you were vaccinated already and you'd been vaccinated to the point where you're mature on the vaccine, on the immunity, in other words, you've had all 3 doses and your last dose was more than 2 weeks ago, then you can go to a party or a family gathering safely for yourself. But the fact is that what you want to make sure of is that your entire family is vaccinated. You want to make sure of that. And if you are bringing people into your house who are not vaccinated, even if you are, they are at risk. And they need to recognize that if people who are not vaccinated are at the highest risk of becoming ill.
And you know what? That's a great point, because I remember like certain situation when everything came about. And even now, like, being like married at that time, and like, some of the things that we talked about, like, if we at work and we wear masks, so it's like, and then you have very little company. But then again, like you say, during the holidays, that's when other family members or friends come around. And it's a situation where it's like, I knew, like, at the time, like my wife at the time, like, she say one thing, but did something totally different, because people was coming in, nobody was wearing masks. And to me, I didn't agree with that, because once again, hold on, wait, you got to treat this just as important. If they coming around and we say the guidelines should wear masks, wear those diapers, pull those pull-ups up, put those depends on. Don't be, you feel away or you feel uncomfortable, because the bottom line, I'd rather make somebody feel uncomfortable now than be in the hospital on a ventilator later. So it's all about right now. If you don't stand for something, you fall for everything.
You are very right, Brian. I think there's no question about it. You are very correct about that. And the bottom line is, this is your house. You set the rules in your house. When you go out to a restaurant, it's not your house. You can't tell other people to put on a mask in a restaurant, because first and foremost, you're putting yourself at risk, because people get very violent about this issue. It's kind of crazy that it's gone that far. But so all you can do when you're in that environment is wear your own mask. Don't worry about other people. If you want to go to a restaurant and enjoy yourself, just wear a mask, and ideally get vaccinated. The more fully vaccinated you are, the lower your risk is, and the more you can live your life relatively normally. But if you're not vaccinated, you should be very careful. And again, you're really putting yourself at risk by not getting vaccinated. But then if you do get infected, you have to recognize that your grandmother, your grandfather, the people around you who are immunologically compromised, even if you have friends who just happen to be overweight and have diabetes, they are at very high risk. Recognizing that, it's important to note that what we've learned about COVID-19 so far is that it is really not a respiratory virus. We think of it as a cold kind of thing, like it infects your lungs. The fact is, what it really attacks is your blood vessels. And any disease that you have that makes your blood vessels more inflamed or it makes you more vulnerable. And that includes obesity, diabetes, and high blood pressure. Those are the key issues. And they are amazingly common, especially in the African American population. So protecting yourself is critically important. There are other steps that you can take. If you don't want the vaccine, wear a mask at all times. Protect yourself. Check your vitamin D level. Go to the doctor and find out what your vitamin D level is. If it is low, make sure you get it to the upper limits of normal. Most tests grade at somewhere between 30 is the lower limit of normal, and 90 is the upper limit of normal. You want to make sure that your level is right in the 80s, where it's at the upper limit of normal, because it has been shown very clearly that people with lower vitamin D levels tend to be more likely to get severe disease. Okay.
Even like, let's sit back and think about it, right? Okay, here it is right now. Is we just went through the holiday season, Thanksgiving. Now we're going into another one, Christmas, and we're going into New Year's. So everybody want to come together. And to me, like right now, where it's like we talk about that word LOVE. We talk about love. how much we love our family, how much we love our friends. But yet and still, if I love you and you love me, why in the heck I'm going to take the chance of exposing you to something that can cause, like my grandmother, my grandfather, or my elderly parent, or whoever, I can cause their death because I'm being careless. It's almost like, dealing with having sex, knowing somebody got HIV and having sex without a condom.
These are all very similar things. I mean, the personal freedom is something that people take very seriously, but I think it's important to recognize that this is a little bit wonky. It's a little bit intellectual, but the fact is that the human being is not an individual. We are not tigers. We're not out there hunting on our own, living on our own. We are social animals. The success of the human species is based on how we interact as individuals with the entire group. That's how we succeed. And so in terms of you as an individual making the decision not to get vaccinated, that is great if you're off in the woods on your own and you have no risk to anybody but yourself. But since we live as a social creature, you need to recognize your social responsibilities, which are to protect the people around you. If you're strong and healthy, you have even more of a responsibility to protect the people around you. That's being a man, in my opinion, is taking charge of yourself and your own health to help the people around you stay healthy as well. Now, as far as the conspiracy theories go, I can't really speak to that because they just seem so entirely bizarre to me. But the fact is that the health system in the United States is not here specifically to deliver any kind of message. They're here to do their best to keep us healthy. We have learned more about this kind of virus in the last 2 years than the sum total of our knowledge before that. So many things have changed, right? Where it used to be where we felt like, okay, what we really need to do is clean surfaces, because it's going to be you touch the counter, you touch a virus, and you put it in your nose and you get infected. We now know that that really isn't the case, that the virus is spread by respiratory droplets, that even while I'm speaking right now, tiny microscopic droplets that go out in the air are going to hover in the air for a long time, for many minutes. I could walk out of the room and somebody else walk in here, and if I was very infected, and they were to breathe in the air that I was just speaking into, they could become infected even though I'm no longer in the room. Okay. So it's not just when you sneeze or cough, it's just speaking. You're spraying droplets out into the air at all times, which is why when you're in a large crowd, just wear your mask. There's not rocket science. I hate them too. They're a nuisance. They hurt my ears. I don't like having them on. They fog up my glasses. They're all sorts of things, but I wear it anyway because it's not about me. It's about the people around me and the danger that I pose to them. I can get through it hurting my ears, right? Big deal, right? So don't be a wimp. It hurts your ears, big deal. It's harder to breathe with it on. Okay, so it's harder to breathe. You'll get used to it. Your lungs will get stronger. You'll get used to the oxygen levels. And there are really no excuses to not wear the mask. Just put it on, wear it, protect yourself and the people around you.
I got a question from Humble Guy. Dr. Matthew Michael, he asks, I am 43 healthy, live alone. My immune system is very good. Should I get vaccinated? If yes, why?
Well, the answer is yes, unless you intend to stay home. If you're going to get everything delivered to your house and you're going to insist that the delivery guy wear a mask when he comes to your door, and you're never going to leave your house, then don't get vaccinated. What the heck? If you don't have to work and you can just collect a check at home and never leave the house and you're fine with that, then don't get vaccinated. You're still taking a risk, because if you just walk out of the house for a little while, you could get infected. But if you're leaving the house for any reason, to go to get a cup of coffee, to go to a restaurant, to get a burger, or to go to work, if you're leaving the house, regardless of living alone, you are putting yourself at risk. And keep in mind that a large number of the infections out there are asymptomatic, where you're infected, you have virus reproducing in your upper respiratory system, and you are breathing out virus, and you have no idea that you're sick at all. So then, yes, you are putting the people around you at risk. And so if you don't have any loved ones that you care about getting sick, don't worry about it. Okay. If you're that much of a loner, don't worry about it. But if you have social responsibilities and people that you love, get the vaccine. The risk is so low.
Hey, listen, everybody, thank you for joining. Like right now, we open it up to the floors. Anybody that have any question, I want you to feel free to answer it. And Dr. Matthew was answered to the best of his ability. Why isn't there a mandatory vaccine for children? OG Sonny Blanco.
Well, we have reduced the age. I believe we are currently now at 7 to 12. And the fact is that we we generally take risk to our children to a higher degree of safety than we do with adults. So we rolled out the vaccine to adults first because adults are more in the community and more at risk, but we also are less worried about the potential dangers. And by now we know we have given out hundreds of millions of these vaccines. We know it's safe. The risk that we took at first by having it not being 100% approved by the FDA when it first came out has proven to be a worthwhile risk because the risk has proven to be very low. Yes, Johnson & Johnson has had some clotting issues, but we are now no longer recommending the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Moderna had some very mild issues at some point with young men having an inflammation of the heart, which was always transient. Always is a big word, which was by far most often transient. So again, the risk of getting the disease and getting severe disease is dramatically higher than the risk of any kind of side effect from the vaccine itself. So that takes us back to the next age group, which was vaccinated, was the 12 to age 18 age group. They are a little bit older, a little bit stronger, a little bit less at risk than the younger age group still. So we then have the last phase has been the 7 to 12 age group. They are now eligible for vaccination, and I hope the vast majority of them get vaccinated because, again, these vaccines have proven over the course of the last year to be very safe. You know, talking about the long-term risks, I mean, I think we're talking about the risk of this RNA getting into your cells and causing some kind of mutation. It doesn't work that way. The transcription doesn't go in that direction with RNA. So it really is an unrealistic risk. Now, could there be some kind of long-term side effect that we haven't discovered yet? Sure, anything's possible, but the risk is, again, very low, whereas the risk of getting COVID and getting very sick is very high. And recognize that you don't have to die from this for it to be a real problem. If you get sick with COVID, you can be very sick even if you don't end up in the hospital. But beyond that, there's also the risk of long COVID. And long COVID means somehow or another the virus hides in your cells so that it's still there, it's still active at a very low level, maybe slightly dormant, but producing symptoms like fatigue and brain fog. And there's a study done in Great Britain last year where they had looked at the IQs of tens of thousands of people for a specific reason. But then when they had that data, they decided to go back and redo the IQ test on people who had become severely ill with COVID. And in general, their IQ points dropped by 10%. This is a big deal. You become less intelligent because of this viral infection. Nobody wants that. So again, it's a subtle effect, but it seems to be real. Mm-hmm. So the last phase, as far as the question that was asked, is the younger kids, 2 to 7 and 2 and under. We're not there yet. We don't have an approved vaccine for that age group, but we're heading in that direction. So ideally, we will get there fairly quickly. In my opinion, we're going to get to the point where the COVID-19 vaccine for infants and children is given out the exact same way as the DPT and MMR vaccines, where everybody, it's mandatory in most school systems that you have both the diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus vaccine and the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, at least 2 of those in your system before you can go to school for very clear reasons. If you don't get them, like a lot of people against vaccinations have not gotten it, measles has made a major comeback in many years since 2010 because of people not getting vaccinated. We've had outbreaks all around the country. Measles is a very significant disease. It doesn't just get you sick, it can cause brain damage in some people. So it's, again, important to recognize. It's a great question. Mandatory vaccines, of course, are politically loaded. We want people to recognize that they're better off just simply getting vaccinated so that we don't have to force them to, because nobody wants to be forced to do anything. You have to really get off Facebook. Don't read the news on Facebook. Read the news. Go to a real news source. It doesn't matter if you want to go to whatever your choice is, but some real validated news source, not just some guy who's out there putting out clickbait, but making extreme claims about the COVID-19 virus and the vaccines just to get people to click because he's making money. That's where you don't want to be.
I have another question from Janine Jones. She says she have a heart problem. Should she get vaccinated?
The answer in general is yes. I don't know exactly what kind of a heart problem that is. Ideally, you want to consult with your doctor, somebody who knows you, who knows your EKG, who knows exactly where you are. Typically, you don't want to get vaccinated if you're acutely ill, but if you have some sort of cardiovascular underlying health problem, odds are higher that you're going to benefit from the vaccine than otherwise, because you're at higher risk of severe disease. But again, don't take my word for that. Go ahead and talk to your doctor about it, but don't avoid getting it. We have over a year of data right now, it is very clear that it is a very safe and very effective vaccine. You're much better off getting it than not.
I got another question from T_Rivers. My daughter just got her second shot today. Will they need a boost later on?
Yes. Again, I can't predict the future, but I would have to say I believe very strongly that we're all going to be getting boosted every 6 months until we have a better grip on this virus, because these mutations are not going to stop. The more viruses out there, the more we have pockets of the world where you have people who are completely unvaccinated or have a much lower vaccination rate, like where this Omicron variant came from South Africa, the more likely it is that you're going to continue to develop mutations that become a real problem, like Omicron is looking to become. The fact is that the United States and all the other first world countries, these wealthy countries, including China and Russia, we have a responsibility to get vaccinations to the entire world, because you can't be safe unless everybody is vaccinated, and we can really tamp down on the number of infections so that we can reduce the mutations. I mean, the idea of saying we're just going to vaccinate ourselves is like saying, I'm in a public pool and I'm only going to stay in this part of the pool because I'm not going to pee in the pool, not worrying about there's everybody else, right? You can't avoid it. If it's out there, it's out there. So we have to put the fire out across the world.
Okay. You know what? Even with this whole situation, and I don't know, I guess I'm somewhat paranoid, because even when everything was going on, even before I got vaccinated, it's like I got an allergy, like sinus problem. And anytime my allergies start acting up, and how the drainage start hitting you and hitting your chest, it's like, oh man,
I have COVID. All right.
Yeah. You're thinking the worst, because once again, you're paranoid. So, even now, like what the first thing me and you was talking about, and you was telling me you're going to send me some information for my sinus, because once again, I got a serious sinus problem, and chances are any type of form of a cold, you thinking the worst. You think, man, the sky is falling, and the sky is not falling.
It's natural. It's natural. And the fact is, the tests are out there. The government is producing another 500 million free tests for people to take for that exact reason, so that when you're getting cold symptoms, you can take a test and get it's not 100% these at-home tests, but they're better than not taking a test at all. If they're positive, they're positive. If they're negative, there's still a chance that you're actually positive if it's early or you have a low viral count. But they will be helpful to be able to take a test at home and have a better idea. Okay, I'm positive. I better just stay home. You can take a picture of that, send it to your employer, say, I took the test, here's the result, it's positive. And we all understand masks are a drag, but it's better than getting sick. Mm-hmm. Staying away from people is a drag, but it's better than getting sick. The vaccine is a bummer. Nobody wants to get a needle in their arm, but the fact is it's better than getting sick. So, we all want to socialize. We all want life to go back to normal, but the fact is it's not going back to normal. So it doesn't matter if you're fed up. It's not going away. Be responsible for yourself and for the people around you. Get vaccinated.
And you know what? Even with that being said, it's like, don't get me wrong, something that you say earlier, like to me, finding the right mask to wear, because I hate it. Like, my biggest problem is when around my ear be irritating. Like, I'm like, whoa, be hurting because the sting over and over again. But the difference is, like, I call it, and don't take, people take me, I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but I call it diaper. I call it Pampers. I call it Depends. Because once again, when you had your kids, when they potty train or whatever, you know what, and they want to walk around and they want to pull it off or whatever, you know what, put that back on, because you don't want no pee and poo on the floor. So the difference, that's the same thing with COVID and everything going on. We don't know what's coming out. So I don't want your pee poo on me. You shouldn't want your pee poo on you. So that's the way it goes. So I'm going to wear it. And even right now, I'm going to get my booster shot, because once again, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
No question. No question. And the bottom line there is, especially if you are symptomatic, if you have a cough, if you are feeling ill, if you're starting to get a fever, don't leave the house. And if you have to leave the house, mask up. In that case, the mask is for you to protect others from you, not just to protect yourself. It goes both ways. Now, I hope we're going to get to a point before too long when if somebody shows up on a bus coughing and sneezing and snot running down their nose without a mask on, they're going to be asked to get off the bus.
Yeah. But like I told you, I just got back from vacation, and when I got back from like right now, coming back from Mexico, coming back to the United States, that's a requirement, and I didn't have no problem with that. And the difference is, like I say, to me, whatever I need to do to safeguard myself, my family, my colleagues, that's what I'm gonna do. It doesn't matter. Like, if I need to wear it before I go to bed, if I need to wear it as we doing, if I gotta go like this as we doing Zoom, I'm gonna do that. Like whatever we need to do to make sure that we're in compliance. That's what it's all about. I don't nobody like rules. I hate rules, but rules are put in place for a reason. And to me, regardless of what, we can save lives. That's why we met each other through Panoxol. It's all about how do we save life, joining together to save.
No question about it. I mean, another thing that you can do if you want to take vitamin D and you want to do something else to protect your health, Panoxol is a very good choice. And I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but Panoxol is a herbal supplement, Panoxol, which promotes cardiovascular health in general. It dilates your blood vessels, reduces your blood sugar and your blood pressure. This is a very good tool to improve your overall cardiovascular health. It's not something you can take today to protect yourself from the virus, but it's something that if you start taking today for the course of the years to come, that this virus is going to be endemic in our community. The pandemic is going to go away, but the virus is still going to be there with significant risk of getting sick from it. So you want your cardiovascular system to be as healthy as possible. And of course, Panoxol is a very good choice in that regard. Go to panoxol.com and you can find it there. You can use the code VICTORY1 with a capital V and no spaces for a discount when you go there. That will help you get the price to an affordable level. And if you do auto ship, it's even more affordable. But the bottom line is it's a very powerful product that we have found can reduce blood pressure very effectively, even in people who could not get their blood pressure down, even on pharmaceutical agents. We are seeing some very miraculous things with this. So it's a good choice looking towards the future to protect yourself down the road. And of course, Panoxol Plus has that vitamin D that we all really need in our system.
Okay, Gambion, how about kids with autism? Should I get the shot?
Yes, there's really no reason why an autistic child should not get the shot. They can be comforted appropriately with a loving parent or relative with them to avoid the emotional trauma that there might be from a shot. Because, it hurts a little. And some kids, if they're very autistic, might not really understand why they're being subjected to pain. Do your best to explain it. But in general, the answer is yes, they need to be protected as much as the rest of us.
What if you already caught COVID? Why then take a vaccine?
Well, the data that we have thus far shows that if you were hospitalized with COVID, if you were severely ill, you probably have high antibody levels, high enough to be protective for about 6 months after. So if it's been more than 6 months since you had COVID, you're not immune anymore. You're going to want to go ahead and get the vaccine. If you had COVID, but it was not severe, at no point will you really develop a protective immune response with enough antibodies to truly protect you. So you still want to get the vaccine. That is the state of the science as I understand it right now.
Our humble guy asks, are lockdowns necessary?
Lockdowns are necessary because of the fact that people don't take responsibility. If you're at a point where you recognize that you really have no choice because of the risk to yourself and to your loved ones, and you stay home regardless, if everybody took responsibility like that, then we probably wouldn't need lockdowns because people would voluntarily stay home when the viral counts are very high. But the fact is people do not. Some people scoff at the law. Some people are extremely resistant for a variety of reasons. And so the only thing we can really do is look at how lockdowns have impacted countries around the world. And we know that New Zealand, a country of 6 million people, has had, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 fatalities in that entire time because of their lockdowns. No New Zealander likes those. They're awful, being stuck at home completely and isolated like that, but it's been very effective in preventing death. So in my opinion, lockdowns under certain circumstances can be very important. I think New York City might be getting back to the point of a lockdown because of their high rates and the massively surging hospitalization rate with the Omicron variant. So yes, I think that under certain circumstances, lockdowns are important, especially when you realize that it's very possible that you're going to get sick with this virus. And yet there's so many other people who were sick before you were that all the hospital beds are taken. You can't get into the hospital and get the care that you need. When we're heading in that direction, we probably need to lock down.
Okay. And see, that's the difference. Like to me, knowledge is power. And even right now, like I say, I always appreciate you taking the time, more or less like, coming out, helping, educating. Because once again, a lot of times people get caught up like, facts versus fiction. And to me, I want to know. I'm not ashamed to say, like, hey, look, I am not the smartest, I'm not the dumbest, but the difference is regardless of what, I'm going to listen. You got to keep an open mind and get away from that bootleg conspiracy theory, thinking like, oh, the government trying to do this, the government trying to do this. Basically, if the government trying to do anything, the only thing the government got to say free food. And they go free food, everybody go running. Come on.
Yeah. Bottom line there, Brian, is that, I'm not an oracle. I don't own the truth. I'm telling you what I read every day about the virus as much as I can. I have a basic understanding of where we are right now. I'm not an immunologist or a public disease expert. But I'm a medical doctor and I have enough expertise to read and learn. And that's what we all need to do. But please consider the source of what you're reading. Get off Facebook. It's not a source of news. Go to a legitimate news source. If it has to be politicized in some way to suit your background, then so be it. But you're better off at least going to a legitimate news source than getting anything off of a social media site.
Mm-hmm. Here it is. Haru asks, what is considered to be a severe case symptom-wise?
Generally, the primary concern is shortness of breath and reducing oxygen levels. So if your oxygen saturation drops below 93% because of the nature of the way the hemoglobin molecule picks up oxygen, if you're below 93% saturation, your oxygen levels are low enough that you are in danger. The fact is that if it goes low enough, you will lose consciousness. And if you lose consciousness with that low an oxygen level, you'll suffer brain damage, heart damage, and potentially death. So if you're getting short of breath with this virus, with or without a fever, that's a sign that you need to go to the emergency room and at least have your oxygen level tested.
You know what? This is what I look at. And I'm looking at the numbers as far as like, how many people tuning in, how many people like coming in and leaving. And like to me, like, it go back to this movie called A Few Good Men. You ever heard of that movie, A Few Good Men?
Of course, yes.
With Jack Nicholson, right now, and say, you can't, it's like we act like we want the truth, but you know what? We can't handle the truth. And people do not want to have, reality is reality. The difference is you can be blind, deaf, and dumb, or you can deal with reality. So the fact that you taking the time, right now is, guess what? I appreciate that. So even right now, like I told you, we're going to be doing more things together. Hopefully we can get something together, do more weekly, because we always talk about Panoxol, how to live healthy, how to be healthy or whatever, because that's what's all about. How do we get together to save lives? I got a platform, 53,000 subscribers. And the objective is right now, what the sense if you got a platform, if you're not utilizing it the right way? So a lot of times, like because of my lifestyle, people want to expect certain things. Nah, man, I'm diverse. I want to share. I want to help. I want to give back.
I love it, Brian. It's you're giving back, and that's it's a powerful thing, isn't it? It makes that we all talk about what it takes to be happy, and for most people, they're thinking, oh, a new car is going to make me happy. A new phone is going to make me happy. A shiny new phone will make you happy for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, but then it's old hat. It's nothing that's really going to do anything for you. Human happiness comes from doing good things for other people. That's really how we are driven. That's what our motivation comes from, because we are social animals. That's how we're designed. It's how we evolved.
Yeah. And like I said right now, Wiz, like, once again, like I told you, I appreciate this, man. And, I really like this. Somebody asked, what are the side effects of the vaccine?
Typically, it's what you would hope would happen, which is that your immune system is being activated, recognizing that when you get a virus, even just a cold virus, what you feel when you feel sick, other than just kind of soreness in your nose or the back of your throat, the chills, the fatigue, the aches, that's not the virus causing that. That's your immune activation causing that. So when you get the vaccine, it's supposed to activate your immune system so that you get some of those symptoms. Fatigue, some chills, some aches and pains. That means your immune system is doing its job. It's responding to the vaccine, generating an immune response. So you can expect that, some more than less. I've had all three now. I can tell you that the worst vaccine experience I had was with the second shingles vaccine. That one made me feel terrible, but it only felt terrible for about 48 hours, and then I was fine. With my first COVID vaccine, I felt tired for about a day. The second one, I came home, I felt compelled to take a nap. I napped for a couple of hours and then I was fine. With the third one, it was really subtle. I just kind of felt a little bit tired for about a week, and that's about it. That's all the side effect that I really had. And that's what I'm hearing from virtually everybody. Even the most severe reactions to the COVID vaccine, other than kind of anaphylaxis, and they always make you wait 15 minutes after the shot so that there's no sign of hard difficulty breathing from an anaphylactic response. But the vast majority of people, it's very mild flu-like symptoms, which is a good thing. It's what you want. It means your body's responding to the vaccine.
Okay. You know what? You just made mention of something, like even right now, like I had 2-shot Moderna, and like not really very little. You know, people was talking about being sick, being out of it or whatever, probably had a little soreness in the arm. But you made mention about shingle. I only had one single shot that was recently. I didn't know you're supposed to have 2.
Yeah, it's a 2-shot series. The Shingrix, I believe, is the current one, the most likely one that you're going to get if you get it. And if you're over 50, you qualify. And if you've ever seen anybody with shingles, you'll get the shingles vaccine. It's a nasty disease.
Hey, listen, I had chicken pop as a kid real bad. So when you listen to the commercials and everything like that, it's like, that's what made me jump on board that. I had to wait till a while. But that I did it about a few months ago. But right now I got to call back because if I need to have the second shot.
You do.
With the
It's a
sense of
2-shot series.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know. And I guess they'll call me and notify me because I've been dealing with these doctor office for like 7 years.
Or maybe you missed a call or an email, but I would go ahead and call them and say, there are 2 different shingles vaccines. As far as I understand, the Shingrix vaccine requires 2. Zostavax was from further back, I think 2006 or so is when that came out. It's not as effective and it's a 1-shot thing in my recollection. But more than likely, if you got one recently, it was the one that is a 2-shot series.
Okay, and like I say, I'm glad I'm listening because I will be following back up. You kidding me? It's all about health. Health is knowledge. Knowledge is power, and that's the difference. Anybody got any more questions before we wrap it up? Do you got anything else that you want to say at this present time?
No, just love your neighbor. Wear the mask for your neighbor, not for yourself. Wear it for the people around you.
Yeah. And you know what I hate?
Get vaccinated for the people around you. I'm sorry, Brian.
You know what I hate, honestly speaking, when people call themselves wearing it, but then again, they like halfway. If you're not going to do it all the way, come on. It's like
no, yeah, right here. I got a mask right here. This is the one that I like. If your mask is here, you're not wearing a mask. There's no point. If your mask is here, you're not wearing a mask. You need to be covered up over your nose so that all the respiratory gases are being captured. Again, you're not wearing it to protect yourself. You're wearing it to protect everybody around you.
And you can't be selfish, man. Like, it's like, what the sense of half stepping? That's the difference. If you're going to do anything, you know what? Do it wholeheartedly. Don't half step. Because right now, to me, I call that being, taking shortcut. If you don't care about yourself, you're right. Care about others. Care about your spouse. Care about your parents. Care about your grandparents, your kids. And that's what it's all about. There's no shortcut in life. Only thing, come on. This is health. Health 101.
I completely agree, Brian.
Yeah, so, hey, but other than that, like I said, hold up. Why for wearing a mask as the Muslim? Why? Okay, why for wearing a mask as the Muslim woman? I don't quite get that. What are risks to the immune system if you take the vaccine?
The risks to the immune system. There are really no risks to the immune system. The immune system is there to protect us from invaders like viruses, bacteria, etc. And so this particular virus, the COVID-19 virus, is something that our bodies have not seen before until now. And so the best way to be immune to something is to have had significant immune experience exposure to that pathogen. And the best way to get that exposure is from something that is not going to actually make you ill, but just present your immune system with a protein that it can react to so that you have this immunity developed without ever having been sick. One thing that people don't really understand is that these infectious diseases over the course of human history have been brutal. Smallpox, nobody even thinks about smallpox anymore. Smallpox used to come in waves through the community and it would kill as many as 40% of the people that it infected. 40%. Just imagine that. So the smallpox vaccine was something that was given out, I believe, from the mid 40s until roughly 1968 or so, when the last guy got vaccinated. Smallpox has been eradicated from the human species. That is a story of a great success of the vaccine. But diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, these are all potentially fatal diseases that we're protected against because we're vaccinated. Measles, mumps, and rubella, also potentially disabling or fatal diseases that we're protected against because we're vaccinated. These are things that we now take for granted, but it's important to recognize that any one of those can make a comeback at any time. And you just don't understand. If you were to get measles, you could suffer brain damage. If you were to get whooping cough, it's a horrible illness. The cough is so intense that you can become hypoxic and pass out from it. People don't really understand that these vaccines are given because these diseases are very severe, and COVID-19 is no exception.
Okay. And see, and that's what people got to understand, man. Like, you know, see, nobody exempt, you know, see, that one thing, COVID do not discriminate. That's one thing we don't have to wait. It's not discriminating. So right now, protect yourself at all times. It's always being in the boxing ring, man. So, you know, just like I said right now, thank you for your time. Thank you for the opportunity, because once again, knowledge is power, and we just want people to understand. We want them to be safe, to be safe.
Take care, Brian. Take care, everybody out there. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you.
Yeah, and happy holiday, Doc.
And same to you. Be well, Brian. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. And to everybody out there, thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you.